Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morally, you can start the session. Our respected speaker has joined.
Okay, sir. A very good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to all attendees of the Alumni Lecture Series organized by the PG Department of Conservation Biology, Durgapur Government College, in collaboration with the Alumni Connect Cell. This initiative has brought together distinguished experts and alumni who have shared their valuable insights on various aspects of conservation, research, and sustainability. Today marks the final session in this insightful journey, where we continue to strengthen our academic and professional connections through knowledge sharing and discussion. First of all, I regret to notify you that our esteemed principal sir, Dr. Debnath Palit, will not be present today. However, he has expressed his support for our joint efforts in conservation and sustainability and his warmest wishes for this alumni lecture series. We deeply appreciate his commitment to fostering initiatives that nurture academic discourse and environmental consciousness. Now, before we proceed, let's take a moment to reflect on the enriching lectures we have covered so far. Lecture 1, Roadmap to Crack Competitive Examinations by Sri Vivek Kumar Misra, Branch Ahead, Poshim Gramin Bank. Lecture 2, Art of Living in the Wild by Sri Pavel Ghosh, Field Officer, Crime Control Division, Wildlife Trust of India. Lecture 3, Research Scope in Wildlife and Conservation by Dr. Devalina Kaur, State Aided College Teacher, Department of Botany, Durgapur Women's College. And Lecture 4, Research Aptitude by Dr. Sivaram Banerjee, Medical Technologist and Clinical Tutor, Government of West Bengal. Each session has been a stepping stone towards a deeper understanding of conservation, environmental challenges, and career development in the field. Now, to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's lecture, I would like to invite Dr. Tapajit Bhattacharya, Assistant Professor, Conservation Biology Department, Durgapur Government College. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Morally. Good morning, all of you. Dr. Sachinandan Dutta currently works as an assistant professor at the Department of Marine Science and Fisheries, College of Agriculture and Marine Science, Sultan Qaboos University, Muscat, Oman, where he teaches fisheries management. With a diverse educational background ranging from zoology to conservation biology, oceanography, and fisheries management, Dr. Datta holds a PhD in ecosystem modeling and fisheries management from Jadavpur University, India. His research interests lie in fisheries management, ecosystem modeling, and conservation biology, focusing on the sustainable management of marine resources. Dr. Datta has a rich academic and professional portfolio, including teaching positions, research projects, and consultancy roles. He has published 40 peer-reviewed papers in international journals. He was awarded the UNESCO Man and Biosphere Reserve Young Scientist Award for 2022 from Oman. He also serves as an international sectoral expert in fisheries and marine resources at UNIDO. He was also involved different groups of FAO such as BOBLME and SOS. Over to you, sir.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. Thanks to introduce me. First of all, I just have some technical clarification. Does the meeting is recording or not? It is recorded or no? Hello, hello. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, it's recorded or not?
Yeah, it will be recorded.
Okay, but it's no recording is coming here. If there is a restriction of recording, also you can what is called add me as a host so I can record it. For my account, it's free. Recording is free. I can record any amount, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. No problem in that.
Just make me host and go to my account and make me on the right corner. Just make me as a join host, so I can record it.
Sir, could you please repeat?
So, and just go to my name in this here, and then go to just make me as a co-host or uh, co-host, so I can record it, or even okay, no problem. If you have any recording option, just do it. That basically
Yes,
it's
sir. We
okay.
have a recording option with you can carry
Yeah,
on, sir.
but Google Meet is not recording.
No, no,
Okay,
Google Meet is not recording. We don't have that option. Okay.
so
We
that's
have
my
another
yeah.
option, OBS, Open Broadcasting Service. Okay,
Okay,
sir.
okay, okay.
Okay, fine.
It's visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Okay. So good morning to all of you. So as uh, okay, so as I received a message from the department HOD, and then she told me that you have to make a lecture, and then I talk about which topic. Then she sent me some syllabus from the zoology or something conservation biology. Then she told me to cover this part of the syllabus. Then I thought, okay, it's better to make on undergraduate level. She told me to make it undergraduate level, so it's on the very basic undergraduate level on overall basically the sustainability of overall resources. So natural resources. So the title I have designed for this lecture, it's basically making the sustainability of life on Earth. Okay, so considering the all the things, and also I try to consider the almost full syllabus, but as far as it's not into the deep or details, but I try to cover the whole syllabus of this that environmental science or something else. So today I talk about the sustainable life on Earth and considering the whole things. So first, as I know that what is the definition of life, we know, but I show you the flow of life. Okay, so everybody knows about it, but let me clear this one again, so that the flow of life is starting from some atoms. So the atoms will be, sorry, yeah, so atom, then it will be simple molecules. Those atoms will be formed as simple molecules, and these simple molecules will be become a complex molecule. That's our carbohydrate, protein, fat, and then we have the nucleic acid or DNA, RNA, that will form the cell and organelles, then the cell, then tissues. So this is the flow of life. Then the tissue to different organ, the organ system, then organisms. Now this part from organisms to the rest is basically part of the ecology, or basically everything is ecology, but this is the mainly we are considering for the ecosystem or the ecological part, or populations, basically population systems. So I try to cover the flow of life, and starting from the atom to the different ecosystems, to the biosphere and food securities, conservations, pollutions, all the topic in a very short. So as I know that what is the biosphere, so as we all know that biosphere is basically the life, and how the life is formed when the hydrosphere, atmosphere, and lithosphere, all three will be combined, and then the life will on Earth will be formed. So that's why the life is basically formed in combinations of the hydrosphere, in combinations of the lithosphere, and also the atmosphere. But at the same time, these three things is basically we are having very much ignoring these three things. So air, water, soil, when these three things will combine, the life will form, but we are very much ignoring those three things. So that's why in Bengali we talk about, if anything we lost our money, then we talk about that, oh, পুরো টাকাটাই জলে গেল। Then if anything we spend our time, then we talk about that, oh, পুরো সময়টাই মাটিতে গেল। So whatever the loss, and anyone is talking in the air that we are talking about the হাওয়াই কথা বলিস না তো, that's mean that you are not meaningless word, okay, meaningless talking. So whatever anything is not necessary, we are basically comparing the unnecessary things with those air, water, soil. So that basically this is the human attitude or human behavior to ignoring these basic three things, and that basically the problems start with our biosphere or the whole environment. So let's talk about the sustainability. This is the main idea of the whole lectures, is to make all the resources make sustainable. So what is sustainable? Sustainability is does not have three pillar. It have the social aspect, it has the environmental aspect, and it has the economic aspects. When those three pillars will be matched together, then you can talk about that this is the sustainable. So anything is, any government is mainly looking about the all economic aspects, only profit, profit, profit. That does not make any sense. This is not sustainable. Any government, they are only talking about environment, 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 don't thinking about the social or the economic aspect of the resource. That is also not sustainable. And some government can be thinking about only the social aspect, that is also not sustainable. So when the three pillars will be in equal aspect, equal weightage, then it is called sustainable. So our idea is to make all the resources sustainably, and that's why we have to be environmentally equally, economically viable, and social equity. So as I talk about the very simple, the natural resource and environmental science. So environmental science, as we all know, this is a very basic concept and basic theory and basic definitions. We are learning these informations from our between the physical, biological, and socio-economic component, and that basically helping the human and the ecological integrity. So there is the two things. One is the human well-being, and another is the social well-being. So when is the ecological well-being? So in a balance, if you have the human well-being and the ecological well-being are equal in shape, then we can call it that is basically the integrity or the things is sustainable. So natural resource, as we talk about, the natural resource is everything that's having the living, non-livings, and all the types of resource we are taking from the nature. That is basically called natural resources. And we have two type of natural resources. Everybody knows about it: renewable and non-renewable resources. So renewable and non-renewable resources are basically simple definitions, that resource that can be renewed over time, that and the non-renewable resources mean it is a fixed, it cannot be renewed easily. Okay, it will take long time to renew. Okay, so that's called non-renewable resources. So renewable, just forest, fisheries, any resources that can be renewed by their breeding process. Okay, so they can renew over time. We can harvest it, no issues. But non-renewable resources, if you harvest one time, it cannot be renewed. Okay, so that's then called non-renewable resources. Now talk about the different bioresources, as I try to figure out some of these, but not all. So few, just like forest resources, very important. Fisheries is very, these are the most two most important natural resources we are harvesting from the nature, from the prehistorical time. from the human civilization. So forest and fisheries are the most important natural resources. Okay, then agricultures will be almost very important by development. Before that, we are starting agriculture is also, and microorganism, wildlife, and livestock is also a very good bioresources. Now we try to I try to talk about few of this, not all of this, but yes, we covered most important part. So forest, as we all know, the 31% of the global earth surface, land surface is covered by the forest, and this forest area basically it's a huge impact on the global on the earth. Not only the carbon sequestrations, it is also giving the livelihood and the food security for the huge amount of people. So as we all see that the overall the total forest area is of 4 billion hectare, and the livelihood in 250 million people, 250 million rural people, they are basically depend on the forest. Okay, and if we look at the fuel consumptions or the fuel annually from the fossil fuel burning, that is the forest or the wood, that 1.5 billion tons of wood basically harvested for the fuel. Okay, so the amount is very high. We are taking a resource from the forest. And if we talk about the carbon sequestration or carbon sink, sink and source, you know, source means it is originated, sinks mean it is absorbed. So the forest is absorbing carbon, and that amount is 2 billion tons approximately. So that data is given by the FAO. So that is huge amount of global carbon is sequestered or carbon sinked by the forest. So that's why you can understand the importance of the forest ecosystem in there. But now this is the very famous classifications of the Indian forest, as it is very popular also. Everybody talk about it, and it is very good for the exam. When we are student, we always go through the champion set classifications in our exams. Okay, so that's why I put it for informations and for reading only. So we have a champion set classification 1968. They classified all Indian forest into 6 means 16 categories, and here the 16 categories are listed, and types of plant are available in there, and some area distribution. This is very old data, but yes, it's modified recently by different organizations, but it is very important as it is old also. This is also some vegetation cover types in India, starting from different types of vegetations, as we see the championship classifications. And here you can find out the type of forest globally. Okay, not only India. Last two is only based on India. This is globally. There is a different types of forest, very popular type of forest. So forest is basically in Indian. If you see the global structure, you can find out the tropical forest, then you will find out the temperate forest, and then you find out the boreal forest. Okay, so these three different latitude associated forest are different types, and then different types of forest you can see the list, starting from mangroves to temperate deciduous, then exotic species, evergreen forest, then different forest types is also listed here. This is the globally different types. Now, if we talk about the threats of the forest, yes, forest fire is very famous threat. Recently, we see the Californian fire, Californian forest fire. So, forest fire is very important globally. As the dry seasons will come, the forest fire, the chance of forest fire will be increases. Insect and pest, then disease, different disease, the invasive species, just Parthenium. It's a very big problem in Indian continent. All over the Indian subcontinent, that Partheniums is become a very big issues for Indian vegetations or the forest sector. And climate change, everybody knows about it. No need to talk about the climate change. Then shifting cultivations, different step cultivation or shifting cultivations, and the global timber mafia. That's there basically having a huge business continuing from the forest. So forest cover, as we know that regularly the Amazon, that is the world largest forest, is cut day by day by percentage, certain percentage by this timber mafia. So how to conserve the forest? So there is a forest conservation. So it could be done by the government initiative, or it can be done by the community initiative. So community conservation is the best way, because government cannot conserve the whole forest area. They cannot deploy employees to protect the forest. So that's why the best approach is the community conservation. See, the community of that particular forest area, if they want to protect it, they can. We will see the different community conservations in the next slide. So just one example is the joint forest management. And then different aspects related to deforestation should be stopped, afforestation should be launched. Government, we have a different plan by government to different afforestation. This July will comes the Bonotsav. Then building awareness. So we all know the forest day. So awareness building to among common people to how the importance of the forest and how to protect the forest. And also monitoring is very, very important. That is called MCS, monitoring, control, and surveillance. Also, this MCS, monitoring, control, and surveillance, this is very important for protections of any natural resources. Or there is a rules regulations everywhere, but if there is a no monitoring, there is a no surveillance, those rules does not have any meaning. Okay, so this will be only in paper. Next, the forest related movement, very famous forest related movement in Indian content. So Chipko movement, we have seen very famous in 1973. Then Silent Valley movement, then Jungle Bacha Andolan in our region, Odisha, Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand region, basically. Then Narmada Bacha Andolan in Gujarat, and Apiko, the similar to Chipko in Karnataka. Then we have a very famous in our forest area, that joint forest management, that was basically considered as one of the best community conservations of the forest resources. That was initiated in our region in West Bengal in 1980s by Arivara, that is the sal forest, protection of the sal forest, that also community conservation. As I told you, community conservation is the best approach to protect any kind of natural resources. Okay, government cannot protect everywhere. Okay, so that's if the community wants, they can protect it. So there's a one forest officer. He just initiated these things in 1980s, and that is very famous and very popular and very success case studies in forest management. Now comes to the water resources. In water resources, there is a lot of things, but I figure out two, three, not all. So in first of all, the wetland. Wetland is very important water resources, as it is a part of the land and water. So wetland is basically the transition zone where the aquatic habitat and terrestrial habitat merged, and overall globally 6.4% of the total land is basically considered as wetland. And wetland is very distinguished and very unique habitat. It has a very ecological component, and we will see in the next slide. But the most important part, it has a lot of different types of aquatic animals to vegetations, and it also acts as a huge biological diversity, hold a huge biological diversity. So wetland is also considered as a kidney of the landscape, because it's filter the waste water. So as we know, the kidney, the function of kidney in our body to filter the waste. The similar thing, wetland is basically filter the waste from the landscape. Okay, so that's why kidney of the landscape is called the wetland. It's prevent flood. When the floods will come, it basically absorb the water, so it will have a huge capacity of absorbance of the water. It can hold water. It protect the shoreline. Coastal wetland is basically protecting the shoreline. It will gives a huge tourism and recreational activities. Lot of wetland basically very good for tourism aspects. A lot of cultural value, a lot of socio-economic values, because a lot of people are depend on the wetland resources. Just like we have our East Calcutta wetland, how many people are depend on it? You know that how many fisheries are coming from East Calcutta wetland, and how many agriculture or the vegetation vegetables are growing in that particular area. So it also aquifer, basically the purified our groundwater. It also purify the groundwater by the same concept of the kidney of the landscape, and it hold a huge wildlife habitat, and also it absorbs CO2 a lot. It absorbs CO2 a lot. So global climate stabilizer. It also act as a global climate stabilizer. So threats to the wetland, there is a lot of threats starting from the dredging. and filling. A lot of places are filled, and the development, as we see, our East Calcutta wetland is basically a lot of buildings and constructions will come up. So wetland are basically very much threats are coming from this development sector. So filtration is also one of the threat, and pollutions is normal. Overexploitations of wetland resources, overexploitations of fisheries and other resources. Invasive species, just like any foreign species that will be introduced in this wetland, that will damage the whole ecosystem. Climate change is everywhere. Infrastructure development, as I told you, we have seen our East Calcutta wetland in Kolkata, how it is facing the difficulties in terms of development sector. And mining is also one of the threat to the wetland habitat. So how to conserve the wetland? There is a Ramsar Convention, as we all know. That's a city in Iran. That was a convention in 1972. That was in Iran city. That city is called Ramsar. There is that first convention was considered as related to all the wetland globally, and this is one of the most important wetland conservation approach. That still Ramsar Convention is basically very popular, and this is the only international body they can protect and conserve the wetland. Restorations is also very good. We have seen several restoration stories behind the world, all over the world. They have a lot of restoration stories by different organizations, starting from WWF, Greenpeace, different other organizations. They are doing the restorations of the wetland. Planning, management, monitoring, as I told several times, each and every time, that is basically called MCS, monitoring, control, surveillance. This is the most important strategies to protect or to conserve or to manage any natural resources. Then World Wetland Day, 2nd February, awareness to the common people to celebrate the day as a wetland conservation. Then more research is required to protect the wetland habitat, and for community conservation, as I told you, this is the best approach of protections of any natural resources, not only wetland, not only forest. Okay, so community conservation is just a suppose example of Chilka, that Chilka area, Chilka Lagoon in Odisha, that they are basically protecting this wetland from their community, fishermen community, or then comes to the marine ecosystem. I can talk about a lot, but I'm very short talked about the marine ecosystem here. If we see that marine ecosystem are lot of different ecosystem, sub ecosystem within the whole larger marine ecosystem. We have estuaries, we have salt marshes, we have mangroves, then lagoons, then rocky shore, sandy shore. These are the all basically the coastal ecosystem. Then we have coral reef, seagrass ecosystem, and open ocean, and also deep sea and vent ecosystem. Okay, so marine is a very large, and it has a multiple sub ecosystem, or we can consider them each and one as a separate ecosystem. So marine is, if you see the global distributions of the most of the important marine ecosystems, starting from coral, mangroves, and seagrass, all are in the tropical area. Okay, so all are in the tropical area, highest density, highest distributions, and highest species diversity of this in all the coral, mangroves, and seagrass. All are in the tropical area that requires a suitable habitat to grow them. So, marine ecosystem services, they have ecological services and economic services. There is a lot of services. This is maybe 100 slide required to consider the importance of the marine ecosystem. As I told you that the forest, we talk about it, but the green revolutions, as it's happened 1960s, 70s, green revolutions, and that is almost gone because we are exhausted our land-based resources. Now people are going to the blue revolutions. Okay, blue carbon, blue revolutions, blue development, blue sustainability. So everything comes to the blue because the land-based resources is almost exhausted. So green revolution time gone. Now the time for blue revolution. So marine is one of the most important in terms of all the aspects, starting from the climate. You know, the global whole climate is controlled by the oceans. As we know, El Nino, La Nina, different global climatic events. all are controlled, whether it will be drought, whether it will be huge summer, or whether it will be too much cold this winter, or whether it will be too much rain this rainy season. Everything controlled by the oceans. Okay, and ocean absorbs a huge amount of carbon dioxide as a bicarbonate. Atmospheric carbon dioxide is absorbed by the CO2, absorbed by the oceans, and as a bicarbonate. And nutrient cycling, all the nutrient, carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, whatever nutrient that is cycle completed in the oceans. Then waste treatment and dilutions. As we all know that the global oceans is basically also considered as a dumping count. So whatever any waste that goes to the oceans, and it has the capacity to dilute that waste, but nowadays it is almost full and it is exhausted, so the pollutions related to the oceans is very high. And also the restore the different it will also protect the soil lines and everything. So marine ecosystem, just like mangrove, wetland, and other corals, they are basically helping to reduce the ocean disaster. And nursing count and breeding count for different species invertebrate to in the marine, almost a million species are lived in the oceans, and they are basically it act as a different nursing and breeding count of the species. Genetic diversity resources huge, as I told you that it is almost for a million species. Scientific information, so research going on. And in terms of economic services, it provided food to all of us. We are basically, as I told you, that the green revolutions is almost finished. Now we have to think about the blue revolution. So all the food security is basically depend on the marine now. Animal and feed, everything is coming from the marine system. Pharmaceutical industry, most of the marine products are used for the pharmaceutical industry of different disease, starting from the upper piece, different piece, or different marine organism, invertebrate to vertebrate, they are used to in pharmaceutical industry a lot. Then harbor transportation, global transportation, they started the globalization. What the word we talk about, it started first through the oceans, because in 1400 we know Vasco da Gama came to India, so that the transportation, global transportation or globalization or global business is basically running through the ocean transportations or the sea. Coastal habitat for the human recreations. As I know, the global highest number of tourists goes to the beach area, and that is related to the ocean. So recreation wise, it is also the highest. And the employment, a lot of people, almost a billion people depend on the oceans. So a lot of people are depend on the oceans in globally. And also oil and gas, natural resources is coming from the oceans, mineral and building materials. So a lot of materials is basically coming from the ocean systems. Now comes to the fisheries. Forest, we talk about it. Fisheries is the second one. So fisheries is a very important resource globally. As we talk, it is the one of the cheap, nutritious or protein source of the global human populations. And as we look about the food security, the fish will comes for the first. Okay, so food security, fish is very important in 21st centuries. As we talk about here, the global consumptions of aquatic animals, global consumptions, per capita consumptions annually, it is 3% increase, 3% increase in last 40 50 years, last 50 years, okay, last 5 decades. But whether the global population is increased only 1.6% at the same time period. Okay, global population. So the demand of the seafood, or not only seafood, aquatic food, or basically the fish or fish related industry, is increased more than doubled in the human population growth. So as you see, the global consumption, per capita consumptions, earlier it was 9 kg global average, now it reached to 20 kg. So it's almost three times, it's almost three times it's increase in the global per capita consumptions. And so how these fisheries sectors will be making the sustainable. So that's a huge demand is increased, as what the population is also increased, so there is a huge pressures on the fisheries sector. So how it could be can be managed. So first thing is the policies, good management, and innovation. New scientific technology, new scientific innovations can help to protect the natural resources. And then investment to achieve the sustainability, as we all know that all the government, global leaders, they have to invest a lot of money to protect these resources. Now comes to the capture and culture fisheries. That aquaculture is also very huge impact in the globally in aquatic food source, as the demand is very high and population is also increasing very high everything. So that's why we have to think about other source rather than the capture or the wild stock. So that's why aquaculture will grow very fast, and it almost now the 50-50 share by capture and culture fisheries. So marine is 63% is total productions, but inland production is 37%. But economically, aquaculture products are very high because it's have economically valued species they are culturing. Okay. Now, if we look at the global productions, so this is the capture fisheries almost stagnant globally, but aquaculture is growing as the global demand is growing. It is the picture of the globe, but actually this is not the global picture. So if we look at the next slide, we will see that huge increase in the aquaculture production, that is only because of one country, that is called China. Okay, so China is almost produce a huge, that's the same graph, it produce a huge amount of aquaculture in last 2 decades. Okay, so even all China and Southeast Asia. But if you see the global other countries, all the developed countries like Europe and US, they are basically not considering aquaculture a good. They are mainly depend on the still the capture fishery. So aquaculture is not dominating in some of the developed countries. Here is the same North America and Oceania, Africa. They're the same scenarios. Now, talk about the food security. It's very important. The sustainable use of animal resources of food security, as we all know that this is the source of the protein is very coming from the animal protein mainly, and plant protein is also there, but animal protein is main issues related with food security. So, what is food security? Food security is basically it's when all the peoples at all times that basically it will meet the hunger. Okay, physical or economic access is sufficient, and the nutrition. Okay, so that will reach to the nutrition is coming from the food. So that is basically to achieve a healthy life. So that's why if you go to SDG number two is basically talking about the food security and zero hunger. So zero hunger. So no people will sleep with empty stomach. Okay, so that is the goal to achieve the food security of the global populations. So how to achieve this food security through this system? So it is most big challenge, or the largest challenge is that making these productions of the meet the demand of the global populations. But how we can do it sustainably, that is the most important questions will comes. Okay, so we are producing a lot, but does it sustainable? So that is the things, agriculture, mariculture, to poultry, fisheries, everything we are doing to meet the human food. So now, how to achieve the sustainable fishing? That is also good because, as I told you, the fisheries is one of the largest food securities in the source of the protein. So first things, we have to limit the import. Import means how much putting you will import in the global capture fisheries, that you have to be limit. Total allowable catch, there should be a limit to capture also. So that's we are talking about MSY, maximum sustainable yield, or different things. Technical measurement, we will for different technical regulations can be taken to make the fisheries sustainably, and we can incorporate tax or different other entities that can be making the fisheries sustainable. So that can be reduce the impact on the fishing, that can be reduce basically the effort of the whole fisheries. But sometimes we are basically restrict the time period, restrict the area in the fishing sector. But how it could be done in the best approach is to restrict the import. restrict the effort is the best approach for the sustainable fisheries. Now the questions is that that food security, sustainability, and at what environmental cost? How much we are paying for producing these foods? Okay, how much we are paying for this? So what is the environmental cost? Okay, you know a concept about the ecological economics. Okay, ecological economics. So most of the product we are basically as a material product, we have a pay some money to get this product, but some of the recreational values, those that cannot be economically or cannot be considered as a monetary. You cannot what is called aesthetic beauty of oceans from your money. So that can be comes that environmental cost, how much environmental cost you are paying to producing these food securities. So food security, as I told you, that the challenge is 9 billion people globally. How you feed them? How you feed the 9 billion people globally? So that's a different way. It's from starting from agriculture to different sectors. So at what environmental cost? This is the most important. So here is this table shows you that at 40 gram of protein, 40 gram of protein, if you want to take, so how much environmental cost you are paying. So to beef industry, they are used almost 2000 liter of water to produce 40 gram of protein. They use 50 gram of fertilizer to produce 40 gram of protein. So they are pesticide, huge amount of pesticide, huge amount of antibiotics and soil loss. So those are basically environmental cost, environmental damaging to produce 40 gram of protein from chicken, beef, and pork, dairy. Okay, so highest is the beef, then you chicken. Okay, so 40 gram of chicken protein. So that reduce that can use huge amount of water, pesticide, antibiotics, and soil loss. So those are the impacting on the environment. But if you go to the capture fisheries, that you are capturing fish from the oceans, you don't have to pay anything. You don't, because no need for water. Water one, that is basically required for the icing, and fertilizer. You don't have to use any fertilizer for the ocean's fish. You don't have to pay any pesticide for ocean fish. You don't have to apply any antibiotic to the marine fish. Sardine, tuna, you don't have to apply antibiotic. So environmental cost related to the capture fisheries is zero. So which is more sustainable, beef industry or the capture fisheries industry? That questions is arise now globally, that how we have to think about the sustainable approach of food securities in global scenarios. Now, if you see the carbon dioxide means total in terms of the global climate change, you talk about the carbon produce. Okay, main thing is the global warming, that the carbon. Okay, carbon dioxide, how much carbon we are producing. So each and every industry, if you see, starting from the agriculture industry, so different oil seed means the source of whatever it is. Then potato, tomatoes, each and every industry, sheep, wine, swine, poultry, each and every industry, they are basically use of a huge amount, they are produce a huge amount of carbon dioxide. But aquaculture related to the fisheries, they are basically produce a less carbon dioxide in globally. Okay, so only 0.5 ton carbon dioxide is basically generating every year from the aquaculture industry. So you can think about that, which is better in terms of the environment also. Now comes to the food security in India. India has running one of the largest food security scheme globally. As we all know, the ICDS, the program, then midday meal. So these are the I think globally largest food security program running in India. That ICDS for the pregnant women, and then MCDS, that is midday meal for all the school children. Then we have a subsidies for the each and every government, have each and every whole country have a subsidies on distributions of the rice, in India, whole India it's running. Then employment, that's we know that 100 days or 100 days in the panchayat level. So that is also giving the money to the rural people. That is very very good stagnant the development of the community. And social safety, we have old age schemes, so different. So in terms of the food security globally, most biggest program is running in India. That these are the some of the program that required for the food security in India. Now comes to the land-based resources. Desert is one of the most important ecosystems in terms of the land. I just consider there is a few more ecosystem, but I say few. So desert type of desert, very we know about hot desert and cold desert. Hot desert is basically having, so what are definitions of desert? Desert is basically where the less than 250 millimeter of per annum rainfall. That area is considered as a desert. If there is a 250 millimeter of annually the rainfall will be there less than, then that area is considered as a desert. Type of desert is we have hot desert and cold desert. Hot desert basically is Sahara, Kalahari hot desert. Basically the temperature is very high, and there is another type of desert is also hot desert, cold desert, and also the coastal desert. Okay, so we just go through this things. It's very discuss it. Taklamakan, Atacama, Gobi. These are the example of the cold desert where temperature is very low, but precipitation is the less than 250 millimeter in a year. And there is another type of desert that is basically called coastal desert. You can see here coastal desert that is in Namibia, in Africa, Atacama, in South America. These are considered as a coastal desert. And another desert is the polar desert. As we all know that the polar region, North Pole and South Pole, Arctic and Antarctic is also considered as a desert because the precipitation is the less than 250 millimeter. Now comes to the ecology and ecosystem. That but as this concept is also we are almost learning from our school days, so no need to discuss into very details here. I just go few important concept of the ecology. Those, so ecology is basically the relationship between the living and non-living organizations and their interactions. That is the most important things. And ecosystem definition is almost similar. That ecosystem is basically the living and interactions between the living and non-living organizations. And the study of these things is called ecology. So ecology is two type: auto ecology and scene ecology. Auto means auto is the relationship between population and species and its environment, and scene ecology is the community. Is as we seen in the first slide, the first the individual, or then the population, then the community, then the community, then the biome. So different things will come step by step in down lecture. Okay. Next, so ecological hierarchy as I talk about it here. So organisms first, then population, then community, then ecosystem, biomes, and biosphere. But ecology is not only starting from here. There is a microbial ecology. There is everything. So ecology is not only this, but the as a organelles ecology is starting from here. But we have another ecology that is called microbial ecology or different. So ecology is everywhere, not only the individual based. Total number of species, total number of individual of the same species. Total number of individual of the same species is considered at a similar time frame, at similar resource or similar area. So that basically considered as the populations, and this population is basically having, just like we talk about the tiger populations. It's only tiger. Elephant population, only elephant. Okay, so in population ecology, we have few things. That is the size of populations, how many number of individual in that particular populations. Okay, so if I call our tiger population, there is a 50 tiger in a populations. Okay, so that population is one place to another place is totally different. So Ranthambore population, tiger population is different from the Sundarban tiger populations, because that's why the time and space is also important for the populations. The density is the space by number of individual. Okay, so what is the density? How much tiger is present in 4,000 square kilometer area? So if there is a 4,000 square kilometer area, there is a 40,000 animal is there. So the density is 10 by I think 4 makes 10 per square kilometer. Okay, so that's called density. Total number by space. And dispersion is also there. So how the population is distributed along the space. So one is the random distribution, so it's here and there everywhere. And uniform distribution, some of the organisms they are uniformly distributed along the space, and some of the population they are basically clumped, making a group. okay, making group clump and then stay here. Okay. Age distribution, as we all know about the age pyramid, young, old, and then and the middle age. So age pyramid, some of the country age pyramid is also down inverted, and some of the age pyramid is up inverted. Okay, so it's growing and this is decline. Okay, so this is the age pyramid. This is also very important in terms of population ecology. So how populations is growing? Population is growing is the different sector, different factors. One is the mortality that is going out from the populations. That is called basically death. Okay, so it's going out from the population. So that's why it is mortality is minus. There is a lot of mortalities in terms of different natural mortality or artificial mortality. Different things are there. So if in natural mortality the species or anything die naturally due to disease, due to competition, due to things, and sometimes we are harvesting them, so that is called the harvesting mortality, or we can consider as a different. So they are not dying due to the old age, they are harvesting, we are harvesting from the system. So that's why mortality is also different types. The natality, that is the basically the birth, so that's adding to the population, so that is always plus. So it's going to the populations and it's going out from the populations. And same way we have immigrations and immigrations. So immigration is adding, some population is coming, some number of individuals is coming to this population, that is called immigration. And same way we have migration. So if you add all those things into your equations, then you will got the total population growth. And you know the population growth is basically two types. One is S separate and one is J separate. We know this one, that R selected species and K selected species, that we have a carrying capacity here in K selected species. So R selected species and K selected species, these are the very normal population growth curve, S separate and J separate curve. And how the populations will be impacted by the environment. So there is two factors. One is the density dependent factors and density independent factors. So density dependent factors mean the density. If there is a lot of individuals, if there is a lot of individual in a certain space, so density is very high. When the density is very high, then some of the factors can be impact on this density. Just like disease, if any disease come into these populations, the population will be going down because of it will be impact the whole population. So this is called density dependent. Then competitions, if there will be a lot of individual in a certain area, so they having become more competitive from each other because resources limited, so they have to fight among themselves to get the resources. So that is called competition. So interspecific competition, intraspecific competition, two competition is there also. And then parasite, if any disease or parasites will be go through, just we have seen about the COVID-19, so that will impact the whole populations a lot. And then density independent factors, some of the factors, it does not depend whether you have high density or low density, it impact individual to individual. That is called temperature, weather. So temperature is impacting to everywhere, whether it is the high density individual, so that does not impact on the density. So that's why it is called density independent factors. Population interactions. This is very interesting. Some of the times, some of the species, they are basically depend on other species. So that's called mutualisms. Both are benefited from it. So population interaction means one populations and another populations. Population mean different species. Okay, different group. So they are interact to each other. How they are interact? Sometime mutualism. I mean, this one is benefited, this one is benefited. Okay, so there's a lot of examples. Just I have, but I cannot make everything in one lecture. So, okay, all the examples are there. So mutualisms, then predations. Predation is one predate on others. So this is the predator and this is the prey. Okay, so tiger is eating deer. Okay, so deer is lessing. This is the prey, and predator is the tiger that is gaining, eating the deer. Parasites, host and parasites. Okay, so that is the also parasitism. One is impacting and one is impacted. Then competitions, both of them are losing. If you fight for resources, maybe both of them are losing their things. Okay, so both of them are getting maybe hurt. Okay, so competitions anywhere in competition means that is basically negative for both of them. Commensalism, one is getting benefit, other is don't have any impact, no impact. Okay. Amensalism, one is getting negative with these interactions, but other have no don't have any impact. Okay, so this is the widely. Now comes to the food chain, food security. We have talked about it. Now comes to the food chain, ecological food chain, food web, and energy flow. Okay. So before going to this one, as I'll show you the some schematic the things about the system. So if you see that that is example of the marine system, or every sector is you can go. So you see there is all the species are here. Some of the small piece, medium piece, and large piece. Okay, so these three type of pieces here, and they are interacting to each other. Small piece eating the large piece, eaten by the large piece. Medium piece also eaten by the large piece, and medium piece eat the small piece. So they are interact to each other, and you will see that each and everyone is also have harvested by the boat. Okay, so they are also, so that's why the predations here, that is called natural mortality, and they are harvested by the human, that is called fishing mortality. And above all, we have the another trophic level, that is called the plankton, the zooplankton and phytoplankton. So they the small fish or medium fish, they are basically eating the zooplankton and phytoplankton, and then it goes to the top predator, that the large fish. And above all, that the sun and environment. Okay, sun is the source of the energy, and environment controlling the all the things. Okay, so that is the whole concept of ecological energy flow and food web also. Okay, so if you look at, Lindemann 10% law, we are reading these things in our class 9, 10, or 8 biology books. So Lindemann was one of the famous ecologist, US ecologist. He did his PhD degree on this transfer of energy, how the transfer of energy from one topic level to another topic level. And it was so famous, till now the concept is the same. Okay, so and then the Lindemann is after his PhD thesis, he died at the age of 26 or 25, I think 25 or 6. So he was really famous ecologist ever in terms of that transferring the energy. So what he talked about it, he talked about in his thesis that energy transfer from one topic level to another topic level, and while it transfer, it's only 10% is transferring. Okay, only 10%. So suppose you see here the producer, they are producing almost 1,000 kilo. It goes to 10% to the next topic level. It goes to the next percent to the next topic level, and goes to the 10% to the next topic level. So that is called 10% law of Lindemann. This is the 10% is the is the standard. It can be more, it can be less also. Okay, it depends upon how complex is the ecosystems. We'll see some of the difference example there also. So here, if you see one of the pictures, you're saying that this is the flow diagram of topic interaction in our one of our study in Bay of Bengal model. So here you see that how the phytoplankton, zooplankton, they are basically producing in this region. They are the producer, so they are the topic level one, and they are the some of the species, they are eating the primary producer, that the plankton and detritus. So they are in the topic level two. Then how the energy goes to that one piece to another piece, who are eating to whom. And then topic level 3, you see some of the medium pelagic, or the basically the secondary. So this is the primary consumer, and this is the producer, and this is the secondary consumer, this is the tertiary consumer, and then you go to the top consumer. Okay, some of the species, they are more than four more than four topic level. Okay, so this is the one of the food flow diagram of the topic interactions among the species. in real scenarios. This is the Bay Bengal model. It is our one of the study, and in our Oman Sea model, if you see that how the energy transfer of from one topic level to another topic level. So from primary producers, how much of energy goes to the secondary consumer, to the tertiary consumer, and if you see that it goes to almost certain percentage. So here 3,000 to 5,000. So as 10% is the standard, but it can be more or it can be less. Okay, so here it can be transferred as more than 10%. Okay, so but it transferring the energy how it goes, and then it is not only the transferring the energy, it is also there's a lot of impact is there. There's a respiration loss, there is a flow to detritus after the date of the organic matter, dead organic matter. Then some of the export going out from the gas, then predation is there, and flow to detritus. Okay, so different energy. Not only the it goes to 10% is goes to the next topic level, but other energies also goes to respiration and different activities. So if you look at the 10% law, there is a one study we find out in our artificial reef study in Oman. We find out the transfer efficiency of that particular ecosystem is 6%, 6.6 means almost 7%. So as we think, see the 10% law of Lindemann. So as I told you, it can be less or high. So whenever less, so it means that ecosystem is not matured. Okay, that ecosystem is not matured. So as this is an artificial reef ecosystem, and this artificial reef ecosystem is basically newly formed. Okay, then it was formed in 2020 and we started in 2021 or 2. So that's a newly formed. So that's why it is not matured. So that's why the transfer efficiency of the system is less than 10%. Now comes to the last point, that is the conservations. As we all know what is conservations, it's very simple. Conservations is the keeping the things for the future. Okay, keeping the nature, sustainable nature for the future. That is called conservations. It's nothing. If one mango tree, there's a lot of mango. If we eat all the mango, so there will be no mango for the future generation. Okay, so that's why we have to keep something for the future generation. That is called conservations, and that is also called the sustainability of the use of resources. So conservation is the branch of science where we can deal with the protection of the natural resources, and not only the species, everything, natural resources basically. So how to protect these natural resources? We need the three component, most important three component. One is the management of the natural resources. So then the science will help you to managing it. The science studying, we have we talk about everything, ecology to population to environment. Management is basically the planning, adaptations, and monitoring, as we all call about several times MCS. And the technology, nowadays use of technology will help you to develop the whole thing. So technology, science, and management, when three things will combined, then you are able to manage, or you are able to conserve all the natural resources, starting from agriculture, fisheries, forest, wildlife park, whatever it is. Okay, now why conservations? Why conservation? So conservation is basically called a crisis discipline. So it is called a crisis discipline. What is crisis? If there is any crisis, means any demand is there, then automatically the solutions will come. So there is a problem, so then the solution will come. So there is a crisis. What are the crises? That globally the biodiversity is going lost, lot of species are going to extinct, there is a huge ecosystem disruption, lot of pollutions, climate change is happening, invasive species are coming here and there, and you will find the over exploitation of natural resources, human population growth, lot of demand. So there is a lot of things pressure on the natural resources. So when there is a lot of pressure on the natural resources, then we have to protect it. So that's why the conservation science is developed, because it is called a crisis discipline. There is a crisis, then the discipline of the particular subject will develop, because of the crisis of this all the natural resources. Now the threats of this all the resources, just talking about the human impact and natural impact. both are impacting on the natural resources. It's starting from pollutions, climate change, ocean warming, sea level rise, acidification. So it's combinations of the both human and natural. So it is not only human, it is also both human and natural. So that's why the resources are going to deplete it. So how do you protect conservations? There's two type of protections of the natural resources. It's in situ and ex situ. You have to protect the resource or the flora fauna in their house, and ex situ is basically outside of their house. Okay. So that is in situ and ex situ. Very simple concept. Everybody knows about it. No need to discuss. Now the some of the global institute, they're basically considering for conservations of the natural resources. That IUCN, everybody knows, Red Data Book, WWF, IBWL, IBP, UNEP, CITES, CBD, Convention of Biological Diversity, MAB, Man and Biosphere Program. Okay, so Greenpeace, so different global popular organization, they are dealing with the conservations of the natural resources. What are the solutions? Solutions is, as I told you, that no revolutions is the main solutions because the land-based resource is almost depleted. So blue carbon ecosystem-based approach, okay, very important concept regarding the resource management, that is called ecosystem-based approach. Okay, you don't have to protect any particular things. If you make the ecosystem healthy, automatically it will be healthy overall. So ecosystem-based approach is very important. Then governance, global, regional, and international. So that's why I told you that whenever any management or any policies will be considered, it should not be a local. It should not be a local. It should be a, regional or transboundary or global. It should be global because most of the resources are not. Nature does not bind any political boundaries. Okay, so peace, they don't bother whether they are in India, they are in Bangladesh. Okay, it does not matter. Okay, so the political boundaries, it's not considered for natural resources. So that's why whenever you are managing the natural resources, you have to consider a global concept and the transboundary concept. Then, as I talk about it, more blue economy and ecosystem approach, very important. And the community conservations, private sector involvement, and individual involvement is also required to protect these natural resources. Okay, so I think that's all. Okay, few things about the pollution. Pollutions is the last few slides, 2 3 slides is there. So this nothing to talk about the pollution. Pollution, everybody know. We are reading this concept from class 5 or 4, even primary section. Okay, air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. As I told you at the beginning, the first slide, where the biosphere form, that atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere, and our mentality is also considering all these most important part of the human on the earth, that the air, water, soil, and we are comparing this air, water, soil into the waste product. Whenever you lost your money, you are talking that টাকাটা জলে গেল. Okay, so that's how I talked about in the first slide. So we are not considering those most common component of the ecosystem or environment. So we are making them more polluted day by day. So that's why the pollution is very important sector and need to be addressed in different aspects. So this is one concept of aquatic pollutions, how it's formed. It's how global aquatic pollutions is considered as a urban class. Cities, they are discharging, industrial discharging, then farm or agriculture discharging. Everything is coming to the oceans. Okay, so that's I told you that ocean is also act as a dumping ground. Whenever you have to dump anything, everything goes to the ocean. So ocean has act as a dumping ground, and then it is impacting us via our food chain. We know the concept about bioaccumulation, biomagnification, bioconcentration. And this pollutant will be reached to us in our body via the food chain. It goes to phytoplankton, zooplankton, small fish, medium fish, and it is increasing its concentration. That is called biomagnification, and bioconcentrations and bio accumulations. All the concept will be developed related to this one, and that pollutions will reach to you, any mercury or whatever it is, it reach to you via this food chain. And also the globally, now we talk about microplastic a lot. So global scientists, they are consider more Then the climate change, because it reached to everywhere. It reached everywhere. Now, light pollution is very simple. It's everywhere. Light, artificial light, is impacting a lot on the populations of the living organisms on every sector, whether it's forest, whether it's marine, whether it's desert, everywhere. Artificial light, it's basically considered as a light pollution artificially. As we know that if there is any artificial light, sea turtle. This year we have a huge aribada in Indian Orissa coast. So if any artificial light will be hampering their nesting ground, they will not come. They will, some of the turtles hatchling, they will instead of going to the sea, they will going to the land. Okay, so this artificial light has a huge impact every sectors. Sound pollutions. This is the sound is in the land based sound. You know the but ocean based sound is also impacting a lot. Okay, so land-based sound pollution, you know, the noise starting from the industry and starting from the vehicles and this thing. But under the ocean, there is also a huge concept that is developed recently, that is the marine or sound pollution. So this is that the marine organisms, basically the large mammals, they are basically the communicate through the sound, whether it's a dolphin, seal, they are basically communicate through sound, and their communications will be disrupted by the sound, underwater sound. And the underwater sounds, there is a lot of sound activities from sea, seismic activities, and different activities. So those are impact underwater organisms a lot. So this is a new area of pollutions in the global developing. Sewage treatment is very simple. Water pollution, what you have to do is sewage treatment, septic tank, primary, secondary. This is very simple. No need to discuss. Go through it. And yes, so we almost reached to the end. Some of the environmental laws in India. As I go through the syllabus, I find out. Then I add some of this. It's the good for the exam. And so some of the laws you have to remember the year and the different laws related to the environmental protections in India. Climate change, and that is no need to talk about climate change, global warming, sea level rise, acid rain, different things are going on. But most important thing is the it is not a regional or the local concept. It is a global concept, so it can be addressed globally. And the issue is this, that we are doing a lot of international protocols. We are doing Paris Agreement, we are doing Kyoto Protocol, we are doing Montreal. So different global agreement is going on related to the climate change, but the issue is not solving. Issue is not solving. Why? Because the concentration of carbon dioxide, if you plot, concentration of carbon dioxide is almost going. Whether it's Montreal Protocol is here, whether it is the Kyoto Protocol is here, whether it is Paris Agreement is here, but the concentration of the carbon dioxide globally is not declined anywhere. So this agreement we are doing, but the things is not changing that much. Okay, so that's all about it. About yeah. So that sea level is rising. In the islands, all will be going down. So as it's happening in our region, Sundarban is almost very vulnerable to the sea level rise. It's the highest rate of sea level rise, 3.14. Now it might be 3.4 millimeter per year. So sea level is rising. That islands are vanishing. Okay. So what we need? We need social adaptations, as I talked about at the first. Social adaptations to addressing the climate change. That is called equity. Equity, not equal. Okay. So the concept is that you have to distribute of the natural resources who need that much. So here you see that we have a different categories of the people in not people different categories of people in the system, but someone need more resources, someone need less resources. So distributed equally to everyone, that is basically unequal. Okay, that is basically unequal. So what you have to do, you have to do equity, not equality. So equity distributions of natural resources is very, very important. Who need more, you have to give him more. Who don't need, don't have to give him. Okay, so not equal distribution, it should be equitable distributions. Okay, so that is the things that we can manage the natural resources with social adaptations with equitable distributions of the resources. Okay, so thank you all. So if you have any questions, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing, enlightening discussion on sustaining life on Earth, conservation of natural resources, biodiversity, ecosystem, and pollution management. We truly appreciate your time and expertise in sharing your knowledge with us. Now, we open the floor for questions from our audience. Please feel free to drop your queries in the chat, or you can ask directly to our speaker. Our speaker will address them. Please ask if any question is there.
No questions? Good.
Any questions? Okay. I think there are no more question or no questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, to formally conclude today's session, I invite Dr. Sandeep Mojumdar, Assistant Professor, Conservation Biology, Durgapur Government College, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Morally. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, a very good noon to everyone. Respected Principal Sir, esteemed faculty members, distinguished speaker Dr. Sachinandan Dutta, and dear participants. It is with immense pleasure that I take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt appreciation to everyone who contributed to the success of today's alumni talk under the institution's Innovation Council on sustaining life on Earth, conservation of natural resources, biodiversity, ecosystems, and pollution management. We express our sincere gratitude to our respected principal, Durgapur Government College, and patron of this event, Dr. Devnath Palit, for his constant encouragement and extending every help and cooperation to organize this alumni talk and for sending his best wishes for this event. We extend our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Dr. Sachinandan Dutta, our esteemed speaker, for his enlightening and thought-provoking lecture on the conservation of natural resources and biodiversity. Your insights into ecosystem sustainability and pollution management have truly enriched our understanding and inspired us to take meaningful steps towards protecting our environment. We are utmost thankful to all the participants, students, and scholars without whom this event would not have been a successful one. Furthermore, we acknowledge the commendable efforts of all the members of our dedicated organizing team of the Department of Conservation Biology and Alumni Connect Cell for organizing this valuable session. As we conclude this event, let us carry forward the lessons learned today and work towards a more sustainable future. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I would like to inform all attendees that a certificate will be awarded to those who have attended all 5 lectures. To receive your certificate, kindly complete the feedback form available in the chat box. With that, we officially conclude the alumni lecture series. Thank you all for being a part of this wonderful journey of knowledge and collaboration. Looking forward to future engagements and discussions. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.